Well, I'm breaking my hiatus to talk about Star Wars. I guess that's the only thing that can get me to fucking sit down here and stare in the camera and talk. What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex, and this little thing that we call Jabber. We're jabbering still, I think. I don't know. I do this. I'm consistently inconsistent. I don't have time to sit here and plan a fucking show all the time, or talk about stuff. There's some stuff I haven't really wanted to talk about. There's a lot of movies that I haven't seen too. Like, I would talk about Oscar nominations or any of this stuff if I gave a shit, but I don't. And I honestly had no idea who was even nominated. But we're not here to talk about the Oscars. The only reason I'm sitting here, and the only reason I'm making this video, is because I've been going through YouTube watching other people's videos about Kathleen Kennedy stepping down as the president of Lucasfilm. I've seen a ton. I've only watched like 3 of the people that I actually listen to, but everybody on YouTube is going to fucking talk about Kathleen Kennedy stepping down as the president of Lucasfilm, because automatically you're going to be like, who's next? And that's why I'm here. We're going to talk about who's next, who I think is next, because nobody has brought up who's next, or this person next. Everybody keeps saying Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, yada, 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 all this other stuff. We'll get into that. But before we get into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, hit the notification bell, and just do those things that, help me out. I don't know. I never know what to say here. All right, just fucking subscribe if you want to subscribe. Don't if you don't. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. I'm not here to make money. I just get bored, and I fucking, instead of unhealthily typing out all of my fucking qualms that I have about the world on Facebook or something like a 70-year-old man, I'm just gonna do it like a millennial should, drinking coffee and sitting in front of a fucking DSLR. Right? That's the millennial way. Or in your car with a cell phone, but I'm not that cheap. All right, anyway, Kathleen Kennedy. We can rejoice. If I had a bottle of champagne, I would have popped it by now. I would be drinking. It's fucking 9 a.m. I don't care. Even though it's Thursday, this news came out Tuesday or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I saw it. It happened this week, all right? I'm not a journalist. I'm not a reporter. Anyway, Kathleen Kennedy's leaving at the end of 2025, which I sort of suspected for this year anyway, because it was just meant to happen, because just the train wrecks that have been coming out of fucking Lucasfilm and just Disney in general, but mainly Lucasfilm, since this is focused on her, since The Last Jedi, really. The Force Awakens made a lot of money, and it's not a bad movie. I'm not even gonna fucking shit on The Force Awakens. I don't hate The Force Awakens as much as a lot of people hate it. I thought it was obviously it's a reboot of the whole franchise, and that's fine. It could have been a soft reboot. That's what we all thought it was gonna be, right? Just a soft reboot, and then they could tell something. They could go off and do their own thing, and then they went off and did their own thing, and then it just turned into this combobulated bullshit mess of unplanned fuckery that has been going on at Lucasfilm. And thank God Kathleen Kennedy is leaving. But with Kathleen Kennedy leaving, opens up a whole other fucking can of worms about who's going to take over Lucasfilm. And all anybody seems to want to fucking talk about, except like Christian Harloff, which partially why I'm making this video, because he didn't even bring this up, but at least he wants somebody new to come in, which I want too. It's somebody completely fucking alien to the whole thing. I don't even want anybody inside of Lucasfilm to come out of here, because clearly nobody in Lucasfilm can fucking handle the job, and they have no idea what the fuck is going on. Whoever's over at Lucasfilm, I don't know, man. Like, you got all these nerds wanting Dave Filoni. What has Dave Filoni done for the live action universe part of things? Like, outside of Mando, and even just the first 2 seasons of Mando, and that had nothing to do with Dave Filoni. That was all Jon Favreau. Ahsoka is fucking Like, yeah, the only cool thing about Ahsoka was Ray Stevenson. That motherfucker's dead. So, and I liked Ahsoka, but they botched fucking Thrawn. the best episode was the Anakin episode, and then that was Dave's episode. But Dave Filoni, here's the problem with Dave Filoni. He is a cuck. He is a giant cuck. He's not gonna fucking put his boot down and, change Lucasfilm for the better. He's a cuck. He needs some big jugged mommy milkers walking him around telling him what to do because he's a cuck. He likes to get whipped and beat. You can tell. Look at that cowboy hat. That motherfucker's not a man. He's a fucking beta cuck. You can just tell by looking at him. And not to say that, I'm not one of those guys that needs a fucking alpha male in every goddamn role ever, but he's just a beta human. You can just tell by looking at him. And even if they get, whatever, they can get another woman, but make it like a woman that's not Kathleen Kennedy, somebody who's reasonable and doesn't just want to spew her fucking, vagina slime over everything, like, sorry if that's a little weird. that's a little insane to say, but anyway, sorry, that was a little rant, but I don't want it to be Dave Filoni. I don't want it to be Jon Favreau, because quite frankly, and I love Jon Favreau. I love what he's done. I like what he does with Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett was atrocious, and it was atrocious. The whole thing was atrocious, and whether that's Jon's fault or Kathleen's cunt's fault, I don't know. Because the show that was pitched and the show that was presented, we all agree on that. It was nothing. It was nothing like that. It had to have been Kathleen, or it had to have been some fucking, blued-haired rooster running around at fucking Lucasfilm with its head cut off and its dick up its ass. Like, I don't know who's been controlling things, but anyway, this is why we're here. So, I went off on a thing. Let's reel it back for a second. All right, Kathleen Kennedy's leaving. Thank God. I don't know how you could be upset about this news unless you hate Star Wars. It's good news. It's good news that she's leaving. But with her leaving is a vast knowledge of fucking Hollywood how many years has she been a fucking top Hollywood producer? 40? Look. And Campia said this shit too, and I agree. And I had a friend of mine that was like, "Thank God that Kathleen Kennedy's finally fucking leaving." Went off on some fucking Proud Boys rant or something. I'm just kidding, but this dude was fucking just drilling Kathleen Kennedy, right? And for some reason, I felt compelled to disagree with him, and I was like, "Listen. Kathleen Kennedy sucks at Star Wars. She clearly doesn't understand Star Wars. She's no friend of George, and she took George's IP and shoved it into a fucking bottomless pit that I don't think it's gonna take another decade just for it to pull itself out of this fucking hole that Kathleen Kennedy has dug Star Wars into. All right, that's nothing. That's this specific job she has failed at miserably, and everybody can agree with that. I don't see the big deal in that. It's been a miserable failure. Star Wars has been a catastrophic failure, probably the biggest failure Disney has ever had, right? Gotta be the biggest failure that they've ever had. It's made money, but look at what it's done to fandom. Fandom was toxic already, but it has made it it has ramped it up because of Kathleen Kennedy. I blame that whole thing on Kathleen. But besides that, she's got 40 years of fucking excellent movie credits. I mean, you can't deny the woman that she isn't a badass producer, right? She's made some of the greatest movies ever. Some of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy has been a great producer. She sucked at Star Wars. Now let's go into who's coming next, right? I don't even want to dive in. I don't want to stay too much on Kathleen Kennedy. I've already been fucking rambling about nothing for 15 minutes. So who's coming next after Kathleen leaves? People want to say Filoni. People are desperately wanting Jon Favreau. Why? You all are selfish as hell if you're appointing these people to be your new fucking saviors of the universe. That's so fucking selfish. Dave Filoni makes sense for you guys to want because Dave Filoni works at Lucasfilm. Jon Favreau does not work at Lucasfilm. He's just a guy that was hired by Kathleen Kennedy to come in, help Dave Filoni out, and usher in this new era of Star Wars for Disney Plus. That's all Jon Favreau was there to do. Yeah, Jon's done some other stuff, but why are you all forcing him into a role he probably doesn't even fucking want? Jon is a producer, writer, director, actor. Why the fuck would he want to be the president of a company? He's a creative guy. And then you can bring up James Gunn and all this stuff. James Gunn isn't doing, they're not going to split Lucas, unless they split Lucasfilm up like that, like they're doing with DC, and give creative control to someone like Jon Favreau and have someone else run the money side of things. But honestly, I think that muddies the water a little too much. I don't think you need to have fucking two people as the heads of a company, personally. Just, I like, DC, we'll see if it works, but I just don't know how that would work as a relationship, because I currently work at a job with where there's no president, there's two vice presidents, and that shit is so fucking weird, because one guy handles the financial side of things, and then one guy handles all, like, basically he's my boss, but he just got elevated, right? And it's this unfucking balanced dynamic where one dude wants full control over everything, and the creative side of things, they're clashing because this guy thinks that we can fucking do everything, and this is more reasonable. And now there's, like, you know what I mean? And it's this, it makes everybody stressed out, right? Which I understand the argument for that too, is like, well, that's a good thing to have, is two guys clashing, but it's really not. You need a moderator who's not either of those things, who can put his brain and be like, okay, you guys are good at this, you guys are good at this, let's stay here and go there. You know what I mean? That's a really bad way of putting it, because I'm not a fucking business guy or any of that. I'm just saying, as a logical perspective, it doesn't make sense to me. And I can see Peter Safran and James Gunn going head to head at some point because of this same fucking reason. You need a singular center fucking person that can control the room, you know? And I don't think Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, or even, really those are the only two guys that anybody's been talking about, is Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. I don't think either of them can do that. Dave Filoni certainly can't fucking do that. He can barely fucking handle, like, himself directing anything, all right? Like, he has no business running this fucking company. Jon Favreau, I doubt even wants this, because he doesn't seem like he wants this. But I could be wrong. And then Kevin Feige, that was the other one that people are like, because of the whole MCU debacle. But why the fuck would you want Kevin Feige? Is one thing, but I don't personally want Kevin Feige to go over to fucking Star Wars. Partially because look at the last couple fucking years of the MCU since post Endgame. It's been a fucking train wreck. Now, that's not entirely fucking Kevin Feige's fault, because they kind of took him out of the creative process of things, but how do we even know that Kevin Feige would do a good job at Star Wars? Just because he did a good job at Marvel doesn't mean that he is as big of a Star Wars fan as he is a Marvel fan. He's a huge fucking Marvel fan. That's why it works for them. You need somebody who is, number one, a huge fan of the product and understands it. Not somebody like Dave Filoni, who was working at Nickelodeon and got dragged over. I don't think Dave Filoni is an actual fan of Star Wars. I think he's a fan of the Star Wars he's created, because he's a narcissistic fucking cuckold. But I don't think that he's like, I don't think he's a fan of Star Wars as a whole. He has alienated himself into this fucking Ahsoka bubble that he is never going to burst out of. And that's so fucking evident with everything that he's done through the animations and the live action. That's fine. Keep him as the animation head. Dave Filoni was great when they were doing the animation stuff. Keep him there. That's what he's good at. Keep that motherfucker so far away from live action or anything, but I guess we'll see how Mando and Grogu comes out or plays out. But again, that movie will probably be decent because Jon Favreau is the movie guy. So if you want to keep Jon Favreau around, have him run, maybe produce the movies. That's fine. But like as a president of the company, I'm sorry, but that's why Kathleen Kennedy failed, because she is a producer, not a CEO. And I know that, I don't know, maybe they sort of go hand in hand, but I think she wanted to be Kevin Feige and she's not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think her brain can handle, because she wants to be on the creative side of things. Like, she's boots on the ground on set. Kevin Feige is in an office but can understand what's going on set because he trusts the people that he gets. And Kathleen Kennedy is a micromanager because that's become evident. And you don't need somebody like that. You need somebody who's going to trust the people that they get. So you get somebody who trusts Jon Favreau to do these things, right? And send them off and be like, okay, Jon, great. You get your team, focus on the film and TV, great. Whatever. I don't know how they want to do it, but this whole fucking retarded debate online between everybody about whether or not Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, or Kevin Feige need to take over fucking Lucasfilm. Why do any of them need to take over Lucasfilm? You know, the one name that they haven't even fucking brought up yet, that I haven't seen anybody bring up, is Simon Kinberg. As fucking wild as that is, he's the guy I think is gonna do it. And that's a wild, bold prediction, and I shit on me if you want. I'm not saying the guy has a good track record, but he also has a really good track record with some of the movies that he's produced. Yeah, he's directed some awful fucking X-Men movies. But good producers don't make good directors. They just don't. And it's the same with directors don't make good producers, I don't think. Directors are thinking creative. Producers are thinking money and asses in seats, right? So in Simon Kinberg, I don't know why. I look at his face. Like, look at his face. I can see them announcing that Simon Kinberg is going to take over as the president of Lucasfilm because all right. This is why. We'll backpedal here. This is why I had to explain it to somebody like this too. Before I get off, because I have it all in my head. Simon Kinberg has already signed on to write and produce a new trilogy of films, right? With Kathleen Kennedy. To me, yeah, Kathleen is going to retire, but I guarantee you she stays on as a consultant until that first Simon Kinberg movie is out. Because they specifically keep saying in these articles that I've looked up about Simon Kinberg writing this new trilogy, that he is writing and producing a new trilogy of films with Kathleen Kennedy. That to me screams the passing of the baton in a way, where she's just kind of like going to oversee or consult on the production to kind of like ease Simon Kinberg into this new role as the head of Lucasfilm, which that may raise some fucking red flags, but I don't think it will, because yeah, Kathleen Kennedy might not be a fan of Star Wars. I really don't think she is. She might not know the product actually, but she knows Hollywood and she knows how to work with these people and she knows how like sort of the game runs, right? And so does Simon Kinberg. He's been around for a while, but I don't know. It seems like the passing of the baton to me. And that may not seem that way to you, but it does to me, and it makes perfect sense because now we got to look it up because I don't remember off the top of my head. But Simon Kinberg he was at Fox, right? He was at 20th. Yeah, so he wrote and produced a number of films over at 20th Century Fox, which is now owned by Disney. They're keeping it in-house. So let's go through his fucking producer credits. Oh yeah, and he also worked with Dave Filoni to produce Rebels. Rebels is pretty much Simon Kinberg's show. I think Rebels is more of Simon Kinberg's show than it is Dave Filoni's show, personally. I know that Dave wrote a lot of it, most of it, but he produced it. Simon Kinberg produced that show. Look, let's go through his credits. X-Men First Class, which isn't my favorite, but it's not terrible. Days of Future Past, which I personally really liked. I don't think it's a terrible movie. The Martian, Deadpool, Logan, which is a great movie. Look, Deadpool 2. He's done a lot. Deadpool and Wolverine, he was executive producer on, not a head producer. But still, regardless, the guy, he's relatively newer, right? In the sense of like Hollywood. He's not old. He's newer. He's a young guy. He's a huge fan of Star Wars. Understands it, you can tell just by the way he talks. And he's a business guy. You can just tell. It would be a James Gunn sort of situation, but if you took James Gunn and Peter Safran and kind of combined them into one person, that's sort of Simon Kinberg. He can take a back seat from the screenwriting aspect of things and just focus on the financials and assembling a team and executing all of these fucking great storylines that we have in Star Wars, and I think that's what's going to happen. Sorry for like the 15-20 minutes of me just going off about absolutely nothing, but at the meat and potatoes of this, Simon Kinberg is going to take over fucking Lucasfilm. Mark my words. I'm calling it now, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. But if I'm right, you all owe me a beer. Anyway, what do you guys think of my insane take on what's happening over at Lucasfilm? It might work, it might not work. Who knows? I think Simon Kinberg's going to come in because honestly, I don't know anyone else. I don't know who else would come in. They would have to, unless they got somebody completely new, to come in and run things that we have never heard of before. But then that is a whole other can of worms. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this fucking whacked out Simon Kinberg theory. And as always, hit that subscribe button, like this video, hit that notification bell if you want to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing, which is nothing, because I clearly have a consistency issue. I'm going through a list of films right now that I'm actually thinking about fucking reacting to. I might do one tonight. So we'll see. We'll see. After talking about this, I kind of want to do a Star Wars rewatch, because I haven't seen The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker since I saw them in theaters. So that could be a fun little commentary. Well, anyway, until next time, my name is Alex. This is Jabber. Sayonara.